Welcome traders, thank you for joining me. This is Mike Hamilton from Trade the Easy Way, looking at the markets for the week ahead. And I've got to start with the dollar index. This fibs is taken from the almost a year on year, or it is a year on year, October 2014 till March 2015. And then once we hit that high, we put in a lower high, we retested the drop zone, very common setup, and then we just started waving from fib support into fib resistance. So it's pretty much a big box play because of the indecision about rates. So we've got some short-term buying the second half of last week on the dollar index, and we'll relate that to the pound and euro in a minute. But so trend line coming across here, overshot it, very common thing for the market to want to do, and then a couple of days of higher closes. Not convincing, but nonetheless is got to make note of the short-term direction to try and get a handle on this. So we could easily come and test the resistance area up there. So expecting some dollar strength short term. So we will quickly then relate that to the Euro US. And you can see on this weekly chart how we are in this potential flag pattern. Come in contact with the 50 EMA for only the second time since this big drop, since we last tested the 50 EMA on July last year. And so this is a major line in the sand, 11440 area. So I'm looking for some weakness. So I would like to see this bounce up to 11450 and then see if we can break 110. As far as the data is concerned, it's not a particularly hectic week. In fact, it's relatively light, but we have Chinese GDP before the European session opens on Monday. So I think we could get some early indications of moves for the rest of the week just by looking at Monday's open. The rest of the week we've got Canadian rates and European rates. So European rates are on Thursday, CAD rates are on Wednesday. Like I said, we're very light on US data, housing data on Tuesday. But I think the main data points are going to be this Chinese GDP and the question of whether the ECB are potentially going to increase easing. I don't think they're going to want to announce anything now. I think they're going to want to keep their powder dry. So that's why I would short any highs in the euro and look for dollar strength. If we now reflect on the pound US dollar, you can see 2 weeks higher on the weekly chart. We're just bouncing up into resistance, into that 50 EMA on the weekly. We're still sitting inside of the seller's bar from September, mid-September, and actually late September, and just not very convincing at all as to direction. I would say, however, that is 2 weeks of higher closes. So on the daily, hard to call, but looking to see if we come down to 153 and hold. So looking for short-term weakness in the pound, but looking to see if we can come into that zone and then hold. But I think given what I've just talked about on the dollar index, I would look for some short signals in that one. I mean, certainly short-term signal on the pound is weak. I think even on Monday we might find that we hardly test 450 and then we get right down to 153, and it's just a question where we go from there. Switching to, okay, let's just carry on the dollar theme through the US dollar yen. We basically got US rate, the next US rate decision is the 28th of October. So this US dollar yen on the weekly to me is just a potentially bullish consolidation. So might see some it's a lower close on the weekly chart, so what I think we might see is some deeper penetration into this bar here, this one here, and so we might see a further drift lower into that support before we see potential shift into 124. So I'm not playing that one at the moment. Let's have a look at the daily just to confirm that. Having said that, I am interested in the Euro Yen if I can pick up a nice low level, 119 or lower into this area here, and see if we can pull up and start to wind our way up to 122, 124. Because we could repeat this pattern here, where we had took a long time to get going, right through April and well into May, and then we ran up in June. And at the moment we've got, it's not as well, nowhere near as clean a pattern, but we held higher than we did here. So US dollar yen has definitely got some strength. There's a hammer and a higher close. So if we get a retest of 119, I would buy that and then see if that can close higher. US dollar CAD, I'm just sitting to wait, and then I will look at the CAD data setups on that one. Pound yen, 3 days of higher closes, very narrow range. You can see, you know, the high and the low. So the open and the close on the weekly bar here is very thin. So whilst we are holding this huge trend line, we are not going anywhere at the moment. But if we dip into that to 183 and hold, we could find ourselves doing an 900 plus point run. I just hope we don't come to our desks on Monday morning and find that everything sort of had a big shunt, which means we'll have to stand aside and wait for some pullbacks. Euro's showing some weakness here. I think we'll be sideways until we get the ECB out on Thursday, but we'll keep an eye on it. Euro CAD. So we've got, it's a major week for the euro and the CAD, so this is potentially going to be interesting. What do I think is going to happen? I think we might creep up to, in fact, I'm even going to alarm this. I think we might creep up to that resistance level at 148. Right, that's not worked. Here, let me sort this out. I would like to see a pull into 148. Okay, this is not working out for me. Come on. That's okay. That's under 148. Okay, I'll go with that. And then see if that can just drop out of the picture, drop lower. All right. Let's talk about oil. Well, I had this line drew early, I think probably this time last week I drew that line. We retested this hammer from the second and closed higher. So it's a low volume, so I would like to see a pullback to 46.80. I'd like to see a pullback to Thursday's open, because that was such a pathetic move on Friday, and then just see if that holds. Gold, I think gold it's retested that 50%. I think that's a short, and I think any pullback to 1185 could potentially at least take us down to 1165 and lower. That is a strong weekly bar, so just be careful. In fact, I think we may get a full retest of, not done a proper retest of the 50 EMA up 50% there. Or yes, we have. Sorry, no, we haven't. No, 1192 is the 50%. So I think we might. We're still seeing him inside Wednesday's range. I think we might creep higher. Somewhere 1180, 1195, and then see the leg down. Okay, so I've got my eye on a couple of stock sectors as well. So I'm going to review that in Traders Roundtable. I promised you I'll keep this nice and short, so I'm going to leave it there and look forward to seeing you at Traders Roundtable. I am not trading the Monday session. I will just look at the markets at about hour and a half after the Dow's open on Monday. So if you want to see what I'm looking at that point, then and you're not in the room, let me know and I'll send you the links and the details. Okay, thank you for joining me. I do hope that helps, and all you members, make sure you're in Traders Roundtable because we've got a lot of interesting things to look at, and I want to drill right down onto those dollar and CAD pairs. Thanks for listening, and bye.